Hi, everybody, and welcome to another exciting adventure of Hello from the Help Desk. On today's episode, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Eccles, a member of the CSS team, and Lenny's dad. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Thanks for having me. Long time listener, first time caller.
All right. Well, let's start off where we began. Where were you born, and where do you live? You can also include where you grew up, if there was a period of time that happened.
Okay, it sounds good. Um, I was born in a town called Santa Rosa in California. That's in Northern California, north of San Francisco, about 40 miles or so. Um, Born and raised there, lived there for 20-ish years, and then moved to Southern California to go to college. Um, then was there until about 2021 when I moved to Chicago, which is where I'm at currently.
All
Current
right.
Chicago resident and loving it.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. That's a pretty big transition from West Coast to Central East Coast, I guess you could say. Uh,
hmm
have you noticed in contrast in you moving any life lessons to pick up for any travelers out there anticipating big moves like that?
Um, that's a good question. I mean, it's a big world. It's a big world out there. You don't have to stay home. You don't have
Have
to
an
stay
open
in your home
mind?
state, have an
Yeah,
open mind.
yes.
Um, yeah, people seem to be a lot nicer in the Midwest compared to the West Coast. Not that people are rude on the West Coast, but um, California culture is weird because it just feels like everybody's moving a lot quicker and just kind of in their own worlds. And in the Midwest, it just feels like people kind of move a little slower and they're just kind of more in tune with like what's going on around them, which is
I can
interesting.
definitely identify with that. My friend told me I loved the
Yeah.
Midwest before I visited it, and I kind of thought it was a little bit insulting, but it definitely was my pace when I got out there, and I totally understand what he meant.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
great.
on
I love
that,
it.
yeah, so I was going to say on that note of the laid back Midwest, what's our favorite action movie or one we saw it recently that we really liked?
This kind of question, it's going to depend on when you ask me because the movie list is ever changing. Lately I've been getting back into like older action movies. So I know you and I talked about this a while ago, but Terminator 2 is one of my favorites.
Hmm.
And it still holds up to this day. It's so good. Um, I also really love Alien too. That's probably one of my favorite. If you're talking about like sequel movies, that's obviously one of the best sequels to any movie of all time. And yeah, a lot of people consider Alien 2 to be like an action movie, whereas the first one was more of a horror movie. Um, so I'd say one of those is probably my answer, or the new Mad Max from the one with Tom Hardy in it. That one's really good. All the practical effects they did and everything.
Oh yeah, that one's
Um,
great. That one's like
yeah.
a visual treasure to behold. Moving on, what's our favorite sports team and sport, or if you want to
Mm,
elaborate?
yeah. It's football. Football is my favorite sport. Closely in second place is baseball. And so since I'm from Northern California, my favorite teams are the 49ers and the Giants. So now that it's football season, I'm in full 49er gear, full 49er mode, watching football all the time. Um, it's a good time. Been watching football my whole life, and I really enjoy it a lot.
What are we ordering as a coffee at our coffee shop? And do you have a
Ooh.
favorite coffee shop?
Um, do I have a favorite coffee shop? I mean, a lot of my favorite coffee shops are actually back home. I haven't found one that I really have singled out as like one of my favorites since being to Chicago. My go-to coffee order, if I'm going to a coffee shop, is an oat milk latte. Um, but I mean, honestly, I predominantly drink my coffee at home, so I just drink it black. Like I don't need anything in it. Um, so yeah, if I'm gonna go out, meet somebody for coffee or do something, I'll get a little fancy oat milk latte or
Mm,
matcha tea latte, one of those, depending on the day.
never a
And
bad call. Never a bad
yeah,
call.
yeah. And then I mean, if not, if I'm just drinking coffee at home, it's just gonna be black coffee all day, every day. I
That
picked that
works.
habit up in college and haven't dropped it. So
Yeah, black coffee when it's cold, it's still just as good. You don't have any cream or sugar in it to go bad or anything like that. So I
Yep,
totally identify and understand. You
exactly.
got a favorite brand of coffee that you get usually, or is it just whatever's clever?
Just whatever's clever. I actually got gifted a bag of coffee from a local shop called Dark Matter because I had my friend who works there. He's splitting time between that shop and another coffee shop, so he gifted me a bag of coffee because I had been meaning to stop by and just didn't have time. So he's like, here's some beans, Josh. Take your beans." And I was like, "All right, thank you, sir." So he gave me a medium roast and it's really good actually. So I've been
Nice.
enjoying that a lot.
No, Josh, I'm going to wrap this one up for our next episode of the Hello from the Help Desk series. Your host for next episode will be Josh, so keep an eye
Hmm.
out for the excitement surrounding that one. And everybody have a great day. Thanks again, Josh, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.